everyone, Zoe here from Make It Crafty. Thank you for joining me today. I thought that I would just go back to some basics, and because I talk about all these different techniques that I'm using in my videos, and I think that it's easier if you get an idea of what it is that I'm doing and I can show you specifically. So I thought that today I would just show you some techniques that I use when I'm using the markers. Hopefully I don't waffle on too long. Okay, so firstly, my general colouring technique overall is using what I call the flick. And by that I mean I constantly colour in a flicking sort of motion where I get the brush tip of the marker, whether it's a chow or a sketch, it doesn't matter, and I hold it quite loosely and comfortable in my hand, and I'm just flicking as I colour. And it might be really little flicks or it might be big flicks, it depends, but I'm just being really light. I'm not putting too much colour down, and I find that when I'm actually colouring an image, this helps to blend a lot easier, and because I'm not putting too much ink down, I can put a lot more colours and layer a lot of colours on top of each other before the paper doesn't accept anymore. I'm using expressive paper here, so and every single paper is different, and your technique might have to change for every paper, different paper that you use as well. So just be wary of that and just find something that works with your particular technique. Another flicking technique that I use when I'm doing hair especially is I hold the tip of the marker right up and down so that the very point is onto the paper. I'm very light to touch, and I just flick the top, and this is how I get my very fine hair when I'm colouring. When I want to go even thinner, I'll often be flicking and just doing this tiny little flick, and finally it will touch the paper, and that's how I get the very fine flicks. And if you want your flicks to be longer, what will happen is that you'll end up just getting it a lot thicker. So what I tend to do is a lot of little thin flicks, and I'll try and follow it down. Doesn't always work, but you can try and get a long line by just doing lots of little thin flicks. And again, you might find that you flick better if you're going up or whatever angle, so just find what's better, easier for you to do. This takes a little bit of practice as well. So to begin with, I just got a piece of paper, just like what I'm doing here and showing you guys, and I just kept on practicing until I could get a technique and try and get some sort of control over it as well. That's the hardest part, is getting the actual control and keeping it soft and light. So let's say, especially if you don't have too many colors, blending from a light to a dark can be difficult. Me personally, I always prefer to start with the light color when I'm blending colors together, because I find that by putting my light color down first, I'm putting a base down which is going to be like a surface before I put the dark down, and allow the dark ink or the darker ink to sit on the surface longer before I blend. So I've already put my light color down, and then I bring my darker color over, and as you can see, I'm flicking as I do this because it's not going to leave a harsh line that I have to try and blend in. So if you watch me blend this in here, you'll see that that's going to be easier to blend than this harsh line. Trying to get that out and blend it is so much harder than blending flicks. Reds are generally really hard to blend, so let's have a play with those. R20 down. This is going to be my base. And then I would normally bring in my R22, and so I'm going to bring this in just here because this is going to be my light side up top here. And then I would come in with my R24. If you see, I'm just doing those flicks as before. And I'm going to come in with R29 and flick that over like so. And then I would come back with my R24, and then that will blend it into itself. I'll come back with my R22 and I'm going to blend that in. And then I'm going to come back with my R20 and blend that out. Like so. And you can see, well, actually that camera picks up those reds pretty horrible actually, but it does look better. So what I wanted to also show you is colouring from dark to white. It's really easy to begin this if you're using a very light colour, and you're going to need your blender pen. So I'm just going to do this with BG10, and using the flick again, I just flick the area that I want to be dark, and then you can come in with your blender and you're trying to just sort of blend in those edges into the white. And it's dark now, but as it dries it'll go lighter. But if you want to make it even darker, you can go over this again, and where you've already put the blender, because it's saturated, you're not going to get the darkness of the ink over the top of the blender, and it helps to even it out and spread it out. If you wanted to do this with going really dark, it's a lot harder, but it can be done. So let's say I'm starting with the BG72. I'll put a little bit down and then get my blender and go back up into it. I'm trying to soften those edges there. I come back in with my BG72 and I'm just flicking over it again, keeping it nice and soft and very light as I touch. And then I come back in with the blender, and then to really help bring these two colours together, I use a technique called the tip to tip, and that's where you take your blender pen, you take your dark colour, you take some ink off it, and it's not going to destroy your blender pen, it's just temporary. So I'm going to bring that in, and you'll see that it's lighter because it's not using all of that dark ink. You're blending it, you're mixing it with your blender pen, and that helps to feather it out. So as that dries, and so you can see here we've got that really nice feather where it's blended into the white, and as this dries this will be better as well. What else can I show you? There's another technique that I like to use. It's my new technique, and that's using dots to colour. So I start with my dark colour and I just do some dots. I'm not very particular, and I just dot around, and then I get another colour and I dot all between there, and then I slowly bring it into the centre or into wherever my highlight's going to be. And as I'm dotting, I'm sort of blending at the same time. It's sort of blends. I'm just going to get the darker, and that's BG75, and let's make it darker along the edges here. And then I'm going to come back with my BG72, start moving in, Come back with my BG10, blend those a little bit more as I come into my center. And then yeah, so that's just color the whole image using dots. And it just makes for an interesting effect. As you can see, as this is drying here now, the gradient looks nice and smooth as it goes to white. And I think that's the main techniques that I use when I color. And hopefully there's just been a few things here to help you, and I'll be back again with another video soon. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.